What's going on, everybody? I am the American Manager. This is a brand new YouTube channel. Today we will be playing a Let's Play on the new game that just released, Out of the Park Baseball 21. This is a baseball simulation where you get to become the GM or manager of your favorite baseball team. You can also play a historical game going all the way back to 1871. You can play a single season, or you can play any season you want and start a new career from there. Another option you can have in this game, you can create your own baseball world with as many teams or as little teams as you want in any given time period. So today we are going to play a new standard game, and we're going to select the leagues that we want to play in. We're going to play with the Independent League, the Mexican League, the Japanese leagues and the Korean leagues, and the Australian leagues. And I will call this a YouTube series because I don't want to tell you what team I'm playing as right now. So let's start the game. I'm not going to play with the World Cup of Baseball because I just don't like the default way it's laid out. I usually make my own. So at some point I'll probably do that. Let's see. So yeah, this is an amazing game. This has been going on for 21 editions now. You really can do almost anything in this game. There's OOTP forums that you can check. People always constantly asking questions, giving advice to people. I've seen people create their own baseball world where the scores of the games are pretty similar to that of the NBA or the NFL. They're really high-scoring games, or just dead ball era games where every game is like 1-0 and pitching is just complete dominant. So this is a very customizable game. I've been playing this game since 2016, I believe, was my first one. I think OOTP21 was my first game that I bought. I don't want to say small developers, but the developers really listen to their fan base, which is something that I like a lot, and they are able to make the game as realistic, the most realistic baseball game, most realistic management baseball game I've ever seen. It's truly amazing. So with this first episode, I'll tell you the team that I'll pick. I'll show you some of the new features, and we will play opening day with the new team. So I looked at a couple of teams when I wanted to start this series. This being my first ever YouTube series. I wanted to be somewhat of a rebuild mode, but I don't want to be definitely contending my first or second season. When I play games like this, I do like to have a bit of a challenge and have to rebuild a team or continue a rebuild that a team's going through. So if we want to start in the AL, one of the teams I looked at was the Baltimore Orioles, and in the OOTP forums, I pretty much saw a lot of people wanting to play as them only because of the challenge that it imposed, and it definitely is a challenge. One of the worst farm systems in baseball, although they do have two top prospects in Ardley Rutschman and Austin Hayes. But you have that Chris Davis contract that nobody's going to take, and you really have to try and get him off the books in order to progress, really. Another team that I looked at were the Toronto Blue Jays. Not completely in full-fledged rebuild. I guess they're almost in contention, but with the infield pairings of Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, and Kevin Biggio, they're pretty much set in the infield and just need to add a couple of pieces where they can be on par with getting a wild card. Another team I looked at were the Chicago White Sox, and I almost picked the White Sox, only because all of the signings that they did in the offseason, and the fact that Luis Robert got the Major League contract, and they just look primed to really put their stamp on the AL Central in the coming years. So in real life, they're one of the teams that I'll be looking at. Another team I really only looked very little were the Mariners. Don't really know too much about the Mariners since I live on the East Coast. So I live in the New York Philly market in New Jersey. So, but obviously they haven't been well in the last couple of seasons. In the AL West, you have the Athletics and the uh, Astros, who've really been doing well in the past couple of years. But I decided to go with a team in the NL. But some of the teams I looked at were the Marlins, the Mets, and the Rockies. I looked at the Marlins because similar reasons to the Orioles, in fact, that they have a very poor system and that they're still up and coming. I liked what Derek Jeter did when he first took over. He stripped down the system and started from the beginning, and now they're on the up and ups, but they're in a very difficult NL East division with the Nats, the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets. Speaking of the Mets, I looked at them as well. Being living in New Jersey, a lot of my friends are Mets fans, and considering the um, up and down season, I think you can say that the Mets had last year, with Edwin Diaz not being able to produce as much as Mets fans thought. But obviously, you had Pete Alonso breaking records last year as well. I think that they're a team that could make the playoffs this year if we had a full year. But not knowing when baseball is going to start, if we had an 81 game season, anything is possible. But the team that I'm going to pick, and there is a tad bit of bias in this, although I did consider the other teams, I'm going to go with the Colorado Rockies. First and foremost, they are my favorite team. I know, living in Jersey, being a Rockies fan since 2005. In the off season, they didn't make a single major league signing, which I think is just crazy. And they also had there were also word of Nolan Arenado leaving the Rockies as well because he wasn't happy with the general manager, and he wanted a trade, and just a lot of limbo for the Rockies this offseason. And I think that it'll be a difficult challenge. And I think with my first series on YouTube, with me having my favorite team, it'll help me continue to want to do well. Continue the series rather, even if we have a poor start to the season. So I'm going to pick the Rockies. I'm going to be the GM and manager. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sim most games, but I think what I'll do is I'll play out one game every other week. I'm thinking every other Saturday right now because I want to strike a good balance between managing with the GM and managing in-game, because some of the additions that they made are significant improvements from last year. Like, for example, different camera angles now we can use, and the camera can zoom in and out and pan across the field, and it just looks really good in the little bit that I've played so far. So let's meet this Rockies team. All right. Oh, before we do that, let's take a look at the settings that I'm going to play on. Let's see. So we're going to do the regular 20 to 80 scale, which is what the Major League Scouts use. I do play a lot of Football Manager, and Football Manager uses the 1 to 20 scale, but it just didn't work for me in the last couple of years. I tried to do the 1 to 100 scale, and that also didn't work for me. It took a little bit getting used to doing 20 to 80, but I've gotten pretty used to it now, and I'm pretty happy with it. Let's see. Enable owner goals, complete coaching. What else? Let's see. Injuries, we're going to stay on normal for now, and we might change that at some point. I don't think we will. I usually like playing with normal. Let's see. Face gen background, coaches, all coaches, scouts, and managers. Load player pictures automatically. Let's see. Player pictures, all players. That's what I want. AI settings. We're gonna bring the AI settings to hard and trading preference to favor prospects. In past years, it's been really easy to off bad contracts on your team for next to nothing. Here, when you do that, the AI logic is a little bit better, I find. So we're going to use that. And league settings. I don't think I'm going to change anything here. Just want to double check the rules. We do have the minimum batters faced at 3, which is what the MLB uses. We're going to try and keep this as real as possible. Let's see. Option years. Let's see. I will change the schedule length. I will allow that in the automatic evolution of the game. And let's change these awards right here. Silver. And the pitching award, the fielding one, the Gold Glove. And yeah, that looks all good. Let's see. Players, historical. All right, so let's go look at our news. So our manager, our owner, Charlie Monfort, wants us to not suck completely this season. Yeah, we don't want to suck. Me being a Rockies fan, I am very optimistic with how I think the Rockies could have done in real life if there was a full season. I know the Monfort said that he wanted 94 wins, which was a bit optimistic, but I definitely think that we could have been around, or they could have been around 500 at least, in a very difficult NL West division. And we want to keep building the team up to reach the playoffs in the next 4 seasons. All right, let's take a look at the team. Well, let's do it this way. So, our first pitcher we have is German Marquez. He has 5 pitches with a $4.5 million contract. Yeah, 5 pitches, a good fastball, cutter, curveball, and slider. He has some good control and some good stuff. He is a power pitcher, which is something that I like. And that changeup could do a little bit better, but 5 pitches and a starting pitcher who has a good stamina and hold is definitely something that I like. And he's only 25, and that's something that this Rocky starting lineup has, is youth with their starting pitchers, which is really, really amazing. Let's see. The next one we have John Gray. John Gray, real life, I have a love-hate relationship with. He started the 2017 wildcard game. I want to say it was against Arizona, so I can't remember offhand, but he did not do very well. And in fact, in 2018, he got sent down to AAA. So, yeah, love-hate relationship with him. But regarding him here, he has 4 pitches, fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. Another power pitcher, not the youngest, but he's still under 30, which is good. His velocity his fastball is between a 96 and a 98, which is good. Last year, he went 11-8 with the 3.84 ERA, so it's a good second guy for now. Obviously, something that we want to look at. We want to improve the team all across the board, but to start off, I'm pretty happy with John Gray. Third in the rotation is Antonio Senzatella, another young guy who came up in 2018. If I remember correctly, his first month in the majors, he was the Rookie of the Month, or for at least pitchers at least. He has 4 pitchers, average pitchers all really, fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup. He's an extreme ground ball pitcher, which is something that I think I'm going to try and look for since we're playing in Colorado, and, the fly balls love to go out of the park. The 4th pitcher that we have is Kyle Freeland. Is Kyle Freeland. And one cool thing about him is in 2018, I believe, he was on the list for the MVP award, or the Cy Young award, rather. I think he was 5th or 6th on that list, which is pretty awesome coming from Colorado. But he also has 5 pitches, 4 average pitches with a fastball, sinker, cutter, and changeup, another ground ball pitcher, which is like something, like I said, we'll be looking to get as much as we can. Last year, 3-11 with a 6.7 ERA. The whole Rockies staff really had a bad season. That's got to change in order for us to take that next step. It's just got to. His contract is team friendly as well. Through arbitration, he has a $2.9 million contract. So I'm really happy with the first four guys in the rotation. The fifth guy in the rotation, Jeff Hoffman, is 27 years old. He has good pitches, but he's a pretty average pitcher, if I'm honest, and his numbers the last couple of years show that the average might be a little below average, if I'm honest. 2018, he had a 9.3 ERA. 2018, he had a 9.3 ERA. And 2019, he had a 6.5 ERA. So 2 years of bad performances, in my mind. Even though you're on a rookie level contract, something's got to change. You're 27 years old, and he's got to start improving. Otherwise, we're gonna off him at some point. In the bullpen, as of right now, at least, we have Wes Parsons. Let's see. He's only been up last year, and it's probably for September as well. He's 27 years old. 3 good to average pitches. Has some good stuff. Not good movement nor control. Again, ground ball pitcher. That's something that we're going to really be looking at. Although that velocity, 90 to 92, we wish that could be a little bit higher, but we'll see. Yency Almonte is our other long reliever who has a plus fastball and a plus slider with some great stuff, average movement and control, and he could be the emergency starter. With 3 pitchers as a starter, I really want to see a 4th pitch in there, but beggars can't be choosers at this moment, so we'll see what we do with him throughout the season. Jake McGee, one of those guys who had a big contract with the Rockies and it just hasn't panned out yet. 3 average to above average pitches. A fly ball pitcher in Colorado usually isn't going to work, especially with those 2 stars. We really want to see him out of here. We're definitely not going to bring him back for 2021. I can tell you that right now. If we do, you guys can yell at me down in the comments and say that you were wrong all along. The next pitcher that we have in our bullpen is Brian Shaw, 32 years old. Again, average cutter and slider, 2 stars, a nice ground ball pitcher, but another big contract, $9 million. Is he off the books? Yeah, he's off the books as well. So we definitely want to invest in some young pitchers, some relief pitching for next season. Last year he had a 5.38 ERA, not good whatsoever. Let's see, the next pitcher, Wade Davis. Wade Davis was the closer in 2018, and for a lot of 2019. Last year he just couldn't get his stuff together. Plus knuckle curve, plus cutter, plus fastball, and some good stuff in movement. Just that control, really. We can get that control under control. He could be good. Could have a very good year. I think he can have a bounce back year. His contract is not team friendly. It's $17 million. There's a team option of 15. I do like that all of these options are team options, not player options. I don't think I'll be exercising these next year. We really don't have a lot of money to spend, which is why the Rockies didn't spend in real life. So after Davis, we have Carlos Estevez, who had a good year last year. 71 games played, he had a 3.7 ERA. Good fastball slider, some good movement. Another power pitcher, so that velocity at 96 and 98 is something that I really like. He's only 27 years old, and his contract is $1 million, and he'll have arbitration next year as well. So we'll see how that goes. The other setup man, Scott Olberg, who last year was out. I believe it was for blood clots. the last part of the season. Good sinker, good slider, okay changeup, extreme ground ball at 95 to 97 miles an hour. That's what I like to see. Good movement. And the last 2 years, he's pitched very, very well, 2.4 and 2.2 ERAs respectively. And his contract, he signed through 2023, and it goes up significantly. So he's really going to want to make that contract pay out. So we really want to see him do well in the next couple of years, especially since he's going to be 30 years old this year. Yeah, and our closer right now is Jairo Diaz, another extreme ground ball power pitcher with a high velocity, plus slider, plus fastball, great movement on the ball, and some good stuff as well. And he's 28 and is signed through arbitration as well. So those are the pitchers that we have, both in the bullpen and the starting rotation. Like I said, a lot of these guys I don't think will be in the team next year going forward. I want to try and get the team younger and get some good prospects into the system. All right, looking at the lineup, so let's go by depth chart. At catcher, we have Tony Walters, great defensive catcher, but offensively not the greatest. Although he was the reason why the Rockies won the wild card in 2018 against the Cubs in 13 innings. So yeah, I'll always like him. But 27 years old, okay eye, gets on base, the 337 clip, which is what I like. The other catcher we have is Diaz, 29 years old, the epitome of what an average catcher is going to look like, really. Not the best defensively, doesn't have any pluses on the batting side, the hitting side rather, maybe the avoid Ks, but when you have 296 OBP and a 307 slugging, it's not the greatest. Right now at first base we got Dan Murphy. Dan Murphy's 34 years old. Well, he can still hit, he can still avoid some Ks. Last year he had 279 with 13 home runs. And he's going to be a free agent next year with, he has a player and a team opt-out next year. So we'll see what happens with the draft, with some prospects, see if we decide to keep him for 2021. Hampson at second base. Hampson, I think, is a really, it will be a good player. He can steal, he can run for fun, he can steal for fun. Even though he doesn't have that power, I do think that the contact and the avoid Ks, I do think he can be a pretty decent hitter. And if he can steal a lot of bases, that'll help a lot. And he has some good defensive metrics right over here, which is good as well. At third base, we have Nolan Arenado. Look at all the accolades that he has. Gold Gloves galore, All-Stars, Silver Sluggers. It really shows, amazing defensive third baseman, best defensive third baseman I've ever seen. And I'm almost 25 years old, so it goes to show how much baseball I've seen. But yeah, pretty good hitting traits across the board. Decent gap power, good contact. That contract, I'm sure he'll play. He'll have his money's worth with the contract. Even though he can opt out in 2021, I don't know if he will. I would like to keep him for his entire career as a Rocky. You never know. Well, time will tell. And shortstop, we have Trevor Story. Trevor Story is another great defensive shortstop, and he can run a little bit, and he has great hitting skills. Signed through 2021. Our owner, remember, wants us to sign into an extension. So I can imagine that 2022 contract is going to be significantly higher than that $17.5 million that he gets next year. Let's go into the outfield now. We have David Dahl, David Dahl is a pretty good hitter, good defensive outfielder as well, and he's good on the base paths. He's going to definitely be our starting left fielder, it looks like, at least I think. Last year he had 15 home runs and he batted .302, and he was an all-star last year. At center field, now this is going to be tricky. We have Jonathan Daza, who is a decent center fielder, but I don't think he's a plus center fielder. He has some good defensive attributes with his range and his arm, and some good base running attributes as well. But that bat, it's really a detriment in a lineup that can really, really mash, especially in cores. So we might have to look for a true center fielder. And in right field, we have the dad of the team, essentially, Charlie Blackmon. Charlie Blackmon is a great hitter. Last year, he had 32 home runs with 86 RBIs and a .314 batting average. In the outfield, he's not good defensively, and with one of the cool things about out-of-the-park baseball is they have automatic league evolution. With that, it could happen that the NL institutes the DH. If they do, then I'll use Blackmon as a DH most likely. If not, I think I'm going to try and get him gone in the 2021 season with that opt-out. Because in the NL defense, you have to be able to defend. And in my personal opinion, that amazing bat doesn't outweigh the defensive liability that he is in the field. Some of the non-starters will have Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon, last year, is kind of like a super utility guy, played first, second, and third. The ratings don't really reflect that he's a great at those positions, but he did play first, second, and third, if I remember correctly. Pretty decent batting stats across the board, except the avoid Ks. And he had 24 home runs last year, and I remember towards the end of the season, he just started raking, and everybody's like, wow, this kid can be really, really good. He has a team-friendly contract. He's $560,000 through arbitration, so we can expect him to be a super utility guy, at least in the infield. Josh Fuentes, the third baseman, is actually Nolan Arenado's cousin, believe it or not. And I don't know why he's in the 26-man roster, to be honest with you. Nothing jumps out to me that shows that he could be a good player. So in fact, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to demote him to Albuquerque. We'll find somebody else to bring him up, whether it's another pitcher or not. In the outfield, not starting here, we have Ian Desmond, another bad contract. Although next year his contract goes down to $8 million, so it's a little helpful, but we'll see how he does this year. Great base running stuff, can play first and left, so there's an option there, and has a little bit of power as well. And we did Darl Desmond, Ramel Tapia. He has gap power, 70 grade gap power, which I like a lot. He has some average to above average base running skills and average to above average fielding skills in left field and right field as well. So we'll probably use him as a utility, even though he's only graded 35 at center. Maybe just so we can get his bat in the lineup, we put him at center field. Let's see. Hampson can also play center at 45, but he doesn't have the home run power, but he can steal. So maybe we can lead off with him and try and get some steals. I traditionally play a small ball kind of game. To me, getting on base, being able to do hit and runs and bunts for hits are essential. My dad grew up in the 50s and 60s, and he always told me that if you can't hit to opposite field, if you can't hit for contact, you're not going to have a long career. So unlike today where guys can hit 35, 40 home runs and bat 230 and still be in the lineup every day, I'd rather have a lineup of guys that all can hit 260, 270. That way anybody's dangerous, not just the, second, third, fourth, fifth guys in the lineup. Anybody can produce. So let's take a look at the Rockies farm system. Player development. Let's see. Yeah, so I said earlier that I didn't want one of the worst farm systems, but as me being a Rockies fan, having the worst farm system, it's going to be a challenge. But again, like I said, since I'm a big Rockies fan, hopefully this is a save that will go far into the future and hopefully bring a World Series to Colorado finally. Our top prospects, let's see. Ryan Ryan here, only looks to be a subpar hitter with some good base running skills. And let's see, he is in Double A at Hartford, I believe. That's the Rockies' second Double A team. Yeah, Hartford. Let's see, our second best prospect, Ryan Rollison. 3 good pitchers that can come up to plus pitches, although the velocity, he's a finesse pitcher. So if you're a finesse pitcher, I'd rather really see a fourth pitch in there. And the basic ratings here don't look too well, in my opinion, either. But you never know. He's 22 years old. He can definitely go into his own. Toglia is a first baseman and a left fielder. I don't know why he's listed as a left fielder. Let's change that. Set position, first base. There we go. Rather see him stay at first base because, like I said, with Dan Murphy, us not taking the last year of that contract, we'll see definitely not good hitting wise. So maybe won't even make the major league roster. We'll see. Sam Hilliard, someone I like a lot in real life, and a lot of people are starting to get on his bandwagon. He can run, he can steal, he can play both left and right, and he has a good outfield arm. His home run power is at 55. Maybe you can see that at 60, honestly. With the 35 home runs and 101 RBIs in AAA Albuquerque, even though the PCL is a hitter's park, if he had 35 home runs in a minor league season, not even a full minor league season, that's something to definitely look at. And so maybe we'll bring him up for the 26-man. There are 26-man rosters in this season, just like in real life. There is the 3-batter minimum as well. Anybody else we can take a look at? Yeah, none of these guys. Colton Walker was going to be the heir of. He was going to be the third baseman if Arenado was going to get traded. I personally think. I don't think he's ready for the majors, but looking at his potentials to be an average hitter and have some good defensive skills that can definitely improve by the time he does come up. So we'll see how he does in the minor leagues. And as far as the prospects, I think that's really it. Grant Levine. Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at some of the free agents. Or let's look at this prospect draft. This is one of the new things in Out of the Park. The prospect pipeline. You can see the top 100 players, top 100 prospects, there we go, in the minor leagues right now at any point in the season. And what's really cool is you can sort it by your head scout, sort it by position. So if you want to see the top shortstops or by team and position. So you see only the shortstops. Let's go all players, all teams. And one thing I like is you can go all the way down to 200 if you really, really wanted to. And I don't think the Rockies have many in there. So in the top 200, we only have 2 players and none in the top 100. I think so. This first number is their organizational rank, and then this number in parentheses is their rank if they're in the top 500. And as you can see, we have a couple in the top 500, but no top prospect guys. So yeah, this is something that we can definitely take a look at very well. Take a look at a lot. Let's see. Some of the free agents. I know Yasiel Puig is still a free agent, but I don't like his demeanor. So let's see. All batters. Yeah, here he is. Yeah, not the most approachable. One thing I did forget to turn on. Let's see if it's. I think it's in game settings. Being able to see player personalities. Yeah, there we go. Right, so let's go back to the free agents. Puig, here we go. Look, he has a high greed, low leader loyalty, and work ethic. Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need a Puig type player. Yeah, none of these guys are stand out. Addison Russell available. We have Story though, so oh, look at that. We have the money to be able to spend. So we don't need to look at free agents. It looks like this year is going to be wheeling and dealing through the trade system. So yeah, we're gonna have to. Oh, Brendan Rodgers. I didn't look at Brendan Rodgers. Middle infielder, second, third, and short. Great contact, great power. Maybe he'll be the 26th man when he comes back in about a month. Definitely great infield range. What if we move? Let's see. What if let's look at it this way, lineups. Murphy can only play first. Second base is Hampson. But I like his speed, so maybe when Rodgers comes back, we put Hampson at center field. We put Rodgers at second. That's something we could do. Take a look at that. Let's see. So yeah, that's the Colorado Rockies. This year, like I said, I think what we're gonna do is let's go to the team schedule. We'll play opening day, but I think after that we'll go every other Saturday. We'll play. I think it's about 15 games in the season. I plan on doing 2 to 3 games an episode. That way, for the guys that like to sim, they can see some of the stuff in the background. Maybe let's watch us make some trades. Take a look at the rookie draft. Is it in this year? Yeah, okay. So we can take a look at some of these players as well. I know Spencer Torkelson is highly rated, even though OOTP doesn't rate him highly. There we go. There's his 4.5 stars right there, using the OSA ratings. There we go. Austin Martin is another big one I've seen, and Nick Gonzalez. These are the 3 guys that I've seen a lot. So I think maybe for the draft we'll use the OSA rankings. You never know. One thing that is pretty cool though, if we go to here, let's go to Head Scout. So Head Scout. The scouting accuracy is low, so as we get closer to the draft, what we can do is have our scout look at scout the top, let's say, 50 guys. That way their accuracy can get a little bit better. In fact, that's actually one of the new features in this year's Out of the Park Baseball is that your scout can actually scout players, and the more you scout a player, let's do Torkelson. The more you scout a player, the better the accuracy is, and the better, the more knowledge you have about the player. So let's get a scouting report, and we'll go to our scout in the front office, personnel, and Bill Schmidt, and task list. So here, we see him with approximately 10 days. We'll be able to get one. One thing that's pretty neat you can do as well is, let's see if I can find it now. Profile, is it in his profile? No. Where is it? Scouting, here we go. You can have your scout have certain priorities. So let's say, for example, we want a pitcher. We want a pitcher, a young guy, let's say from 20 to 25, doesn't matter the nation where they bat. Minimum quality, let's say fair on his current ability, and a player type. Let's look at a ground baller, and let's actually do the same for power guys. 20 to 25, fair, and power pitcher. So as your scout goes and scouts players, he's going to put a priority on these kind of guys that check these ticks, these markers right here. You can have a maximum of 20, and luckily our scout is excellent in the majors, the minors, the international, and in amateur. So hopefully we can really build through the draft and build through international free agency, and definitely bring this Rockies to break that hold that the Dodgers have so far. So let's see, anything else that I want to take a look at before I let you guys go? Let's see. Let's meet the team. So yeah, Nolan Arenado, the best third baseman in the game. Trevor Story, the best shortstop. Wade Davis is a pretty good reliever, although he might become a closer at some point, depending on how he does. Let's look at the finances real quick. Front office. Let's look at the team salaries. I usually don't like big contracts, but obviously Nolan Arenado is a special player, so I'm okay with that. Blackman, like I said, I'd like to get rid of him, only because of his lack of fielding. I know obviously he's a great hitter, but in the National League you need to be able to field as well in order to stay on the field. Davis, I would like to get. Davis will keep at least for this year. Desi, Story, yeah. So a lot of these guys have. A couple of these guys have unfriendly contracts, but most have team-friendly contracts, which is something that I like. And I think that will be it for now. Thank you guys for joining me for my very first video and very first Let's Play here on YouTube. And I hope that, as time goes on, I get a lot better at this. I hope that I gave you guys videos that you like, and write down in the comments, criticisms or things that I did well, things that I need to improve on. I'm a huge fan of baseball, so I definitely see myself going far with this save. I would like to at least 6-7 years in the future, but time will tell with that. But anyway, I'm the American Manager, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. Have a good one.